You know, with all your excitement about clean energy, I thought this WattAnyWhere deep dive would be right up your alley.
Oh, yeah. What's WattAnyWhere all about?
Well, they're tackling EV charging,
Yeah.
making it so we don't have to rely on the grid so much, especially with all the uncertainty these days.
Right, yeah.
And get this, they think they can charge like 3,000 cars with a generator the size of a parking space.
Wow, 3,000.
That's using renewable ethanol.
Okay, now that's intriguing, especially with all the worries about blackouts and, just the strain on the grid overall.
Exactly. And they're already making waves. They were just selected for this Shell Game Changer Accelerator.
Shell, like the oil company.
The one and only. Apparently, they're putting serious money behind companies that could, well, change the game. And
Yeah.
WattAnyWhere's tech really seems like it could be a game changer.
So how's it work? What's the magic sauce?
Fuel cells. They're converting ethanol into clean electricity. And we're talking near zero pollutants, no combustion. But what I really like is that they're not just talking tech specs.
Huh.
They're focusing on what it actually means for people.
Right, got to connect with the end user. Cool tech only gets you so far if it's not actually solving a problem. Huh?
Totally. And they highlight a bunch of benefits. Fast deployment, they say it's scalable, cost efficient. They even mention cost efficient twice on the website.
Twice, huh? They must be pretty confident about the economics of it all.
Right. Makes you think, how much cheaper could this be compared to, like, building out more charging stations the traditional way? But before we dive into all that, I want to hear your take on the resilience angle. Because for me, that's huge.
Yeah, being able to keep the lights on when the grid's down is becoming more and more important, that's for sure. Remember all those conversations we had about rolling blackouts and just like the aging infrastructure? This tech offers a way to just sidestep all that.
It's like having your own little power plant, a clean one that runs on renewable fuel. And the portability. Don't even get me started. These generators, they're not stuck in one place.
Right. Think about like disaster relief or even just a music festival out in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. Places traditional power struggles to reach.
And it's all clean. That's the real kicker.
Totally. And it's not just the tech itself, it's how they're innovating. They're part of this Dassault Systems 3D Experience Lab, which is doing some really cool stuff.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them. They're
Yeah.
all about using tech for good, right? Like global scale.
Exactly. And WattAnyWhere fits right in with their city theme. Tackling the challenges of growing urban environments in a sustainable way.
Makes sense. Cities are only getting bigger, demanding more and more resources. Traditional infrastructure just wasn't built for this.
Okay, so I've got this super cool tech and a global network dedicated to making cities more sustainable. But what does it look like when the 3D Experience Lab actually supports a company? How hands-on are they?
Think of it less like a one-time investment and more like they're giving WattAnyWhere a whole toolbox to work with. Multiple levels of support, really.
Okay, I like the toolbox analogy. What's in it?
Well, first you've got this incredible brain trust. I'm talking top-tier experts in every field you can imagine. And WattAnyWhere has access to them, just bouncing ideas around, getting feedback.
That's huge. Not just engineers, right? Like you've got designers in the mix, sustainability gurus.
Oh, absolutely. And business strategists even.
Mm-hmm.
Because a great idea needs more than just engineering to succeed, right?
Right. Okay, so that's the mentorship part of the toolbox. What else we got?
Well, on a more practical level, there's the software suite, which we touched on earlier. But it's not just about having the individual tools, it's how they all work together.
Yeah.
This 3D experience platform integrates everything. So design, engineering, simulation, it's all connected.
So it's not like they're jumping between different programs, losing information along the way.
Exactly. It streamlines the whole process.
Yeah.
And that's got to be a dream for engineers.
Totally. Less time wrestling with software, more time actually innovating. Okay, I'm seeing the value here. So we've got expert guidance, we've got top-notch software. What's the last piece of this puzzle?
This might sound kind of touchy-feely, but it's really about fostering a culture of collaboration. This 3D Experience Lab, it's more than just a physical space, it's a whole philosophy.
Okay, so less corporate lab, more like like a think tank, a design studio.
Exactly. They're all about open communication, sharing ideas, fail fast, learn fast, that kind of energy. It's about tapping into that collective intelligence we were talking about earlier.
Right, the orchestra metaphor. But I'm still wrapping my head around how that actually works in practice.
Imagine this. A team at WattAnyWhere hits a snag, right? Something about the fuel cell design, just not quite there yet. Within the 3D Experience platform, they can connect with a fuel cell expert, maybe someone at Dassault, or even an outside partner. Real-time consultation, just like that.
It's like having a help hotline, but for groundbreaking innovation.
Exactly. And because everyone's working within the same platform, there's no need to explain everything from scratch, no file compatibility issues.
Yeah.
It just flows.
Wow, that's powerful. And in the clean energy game, speed is everything.
100%. The world needs solutions, and it needs them now.
Mhm.
There's no time for clunky processes and information silos.
You said it. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I want to loop back to something you mentioned earlier, something that caught my eye too. That double mention of cost efficiency on WattAnyWhere's website.
Yeah, it definitely stood out as well.
I'm curious, how do you see this collaborative approach, this whole 3D experience ecosystem? How does that actually translate into cost savings, both for WattAnyWhere and down the line, potentially for the end user?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Tough to say for sure without seeing their books, but we can make some educated guesses based on what we know.
Okay, so where do you see the potential for savings? Lay it on me.
Well, for starters, the fuel itself, ethanol.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it's just cheaper than something like hydrogen.
Right, and easier to come by too.
Exactly. Plus, like we talked about, it could be sourced renewably, which is a big plus. Now, beyond the fuel itself, think about their whole development process. All that collaboration, the 3D experience platform, that's got to be cutting costs left and right.
Because they're not wasting time and money building something that's not going to work.
Exactly. Fewer prototypes, fewer redesigns, it all adds up.
So they save money, and potentially that trickles down to the consumer, right?
Could make their solution much more competitive, which is huge for getting this tech into more people's hands. And that's not even factoring in the long-term savings of going off-grid.
Avoiding those grid connection fees, yeah, that can really add up, especially for remote areas.
Exactly. Traditional infrastructure can be a real budget buster. WattAnyWhere is offering a way to bypass all that. But there's another cost we haven't even talked about, the cost of inaction.
Ooh, okay, I like where you're going with this. The cost of sticking with the status quo.
Exactly. Sticking with fossil fuels, an unreliable grid. That's going to cost us way more in the long run. Economically, environmentally, you name it.
It's like that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly. Investing in solutions like WattAnyWhere's, it's not just a nice to have, it's essential.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? It's not just about, can we afford to go clean? It's, can we afford not to? And companies like this, they're leading the charge. It's pretty inspiring.
Agreed. It gives you hope, seeing innovation in action, especially when it's driven by collaboration and this real commitment to sustainability.
It makes you wonder what other breakthroughs are just waiting to be discovered. What other world-changing tech is being dreamed up right now? Maybe even inspired by companies like WattAnyWhere. We hope this deep dive has sparked your own curiosity about the future of clean energy. Because the more we know, the better choices we can make, both as individuals and as a society.